Hey guys, it's Denise from LoomaHat.com, and you guys have been asking me to tell you why your stitch is so tight. So I'm going to give you 5 of the most common reasons why your stitch might be too tight. Now, this doesn't apply to everybody, and these 5 might not be your reasons. So this is from my personal experience and the experience of my followers, what they tell me. So let me tell you the 5 reasons. You ready? 5. Here we go with the first one. You guys were told to push your loops down when you finish the row. And this is not a wrong answer, but this might be the wrong answer for you, right? So I push the loops down and then I pull them in order to knit off. And that's your problem. When you're pulling the stitch upward in order to knit off, you're tightening the neighbor. Reason number 2. Of course, I just told you when I told you in reason number 1. When you have to pull your loops, you tighten the loop that's next to it, the one right before it. And sometimes this is a good thing. Like when you're knitting a hat and you just finished a row and you're ready to increase, since you're stacking another row on top of the previous one, that first loop gets loose. That's how you get that ladder look on some of your hats. So to avoid that, what you do is that the second loop, you pull it and it will tighten the first loop, which is always loose, and that's why you get that ugly seam on your hat. And so sometimes we pull them for another reason. We pull thinking that as I move along the row, I'm gonna pull on my loops to kind of loosen them up. Say while you're trying to make loop number 2 loose, you're tightening 1, and as you continue to the end of your row on your loom, you're tightening loops as you're trying to loosen the loop that you're working on. You're tightening the guy before it. Reason number 3 can be your choice of stitch. So say you chose to do a knit stitch, but you didn't understand that if you leave the yarn straight on your peg, if you just lay it straight flat, you're doing a flat stitch, and a flat stitch is a very tight stitch. And so keep in mind that the more bend you put on your yarn, on your working yarn, the more bend you put on the yarn around the loop, well, the looser it will be. Like an E-wrap, you totally wrap the yarn around the peg. Well, that's gonna give you the most loose stitch of all the versions of the knit stitch. If you do a U-wrap, which happens to be my favorite, then you get that happy medium. It's tighter than the E-wrap, but looser than the flat stitch. And of course, the flat stitch is the most flat. That's why it's called the flat stitch, and it is the tightest. So if you want a little looser loop, you put more bend in your working yarn as you use your yarn around your peg. All right, let's go to the next one. Reason number 4. All right, so this is not as common as the other ones. It's your choice of yarn. Some of you are using really thick yarn on smaller pegs. So if you say bought a KB loom and you put it on a small gauge and you decided to use a super bulky, that was not a good choice. And trying to knit off that yarn on a small loom, a small gauge loom, can be a bit difficult. So if you really like super bulky, and there are way beyond the super bulkies, but anytime you go to that choice, which is for most of us a number 6, if you choose to go to a 6 or even beyond because you want like a major wrap, you should consider a sippy. which can handle the bigger yarn with no problem. And let's go to your very last one. So this might be a bit of a contradiction for some of you from when I told you that wrapping your pegs can make it looser. Well, one thing is that for some of you guys, you wrap all of your pegs and knit all of your pegs. So for some of you, that's not a good choice, because as you get closer to the last few pegs, you've been tightening your loops. So peg number 1 wasn't so tight, but 2's a little tighter, and 3 gets a little tighter, and 4, and well, by the time you've reached that 40th loop, you really got some tight stitches. So for some of you, it's a better choice to just wrap and knit a few, and then wrap and knit a few more, and then wrap and knit a few more. Simple. All right, so those are the 5 most common reasons why your stitch is too tight. And until the next time we see each other, or until the next time you see me, bye. Stay fresh, keep looming.